What's up YouTube? Chris coming at you again for another exciting episode of the Escape from Alcatraz vlog. Today we'll be talking about cycling, my background in cycling, how I'm training for the Escape from Alcatraz triathlon in regards to cycling, and why I'm not using the blueprint plan that I'm using for the swimming and running portion of the triathlon. So a little bit about my background in cycling. I haven't been cycling for very long, but I guess I'm a little bit more of a natural cyclist, or a little bit more built for cycling than I am the other disciplines. I did do powerlifting, and probably one of my strongest attributes physically is my legs, so I think that transitioned over a lot into cycling. I first got started by buying a bike whenever I was in Santa Rosa and just riding that around town basically, and then also had it when I was in San Francisco and filmed a couple videos out there of me riding a little bit more. I used it in San Francisco usually to make grocery store trips or just kind of ride around for enjoyment. I wasn't really training specifically or anything until my first triathlon, and then I was just trying to cycle longer distances to get me ready for the triathlon. I wasn't really trying to win or get a specific time or anything. So that's where I started out, just kind of casually riding around and increasing my distance, and that's what I've been doing up until pretty much the last year when I've actually started to do some triathlon specific training and cycling specific training. And most of what I've learned has been either from GCN or GTN, the Global Cycling Network and Global Triathlon Network on YouTube, and a couple other people that just talk about cycling on YouTube. So I don't really have anything specific. I've just kind of been riding my bike and doing it faster and harder. I don't really feel like I need that much training in cycling at this point because I'm much better at that than I am at swimming and running. So I've kind of have that on the back burner right now. I know that makes up the bulk of the race, so a lot of people train for cycling a lot more than the other events, or maybe the same as running, because running is very important also. But like I said, I'm a little bit better at cycling already, so I'm trying to bring up my weaker disciplines right now and just kind of enjoy cycling. And that's it for my background in cycling. Just like the other disciplines, not really a whole lot of history there. For the Escape from Alcatraz prep, I'm not really doing what the training plan said. I'm taking it pretty easy. My interval sessions, I'm really just doing Zwift workouts, which I'll talk about in a second, and then long rides outside, just hopefully at a steady pace, which I'll explain what that means later too. So now I'll talk a little bit about Zwift and my interval training, and for that we'll go into the studio. So this is my cycling studio. As you can see, I've got my bike right here. I have my laptop just kind of sitting up here on my handlebars basically because I don't have a stand or table for it to actually sit on. And then I'll show you the trainer itself in a second and how I ride on Zwift. And I've got a few other things here on the back wall. I have this nice little display for all of my bibs and race medals that my fiance got me. Got the swim bike run up there, so that's pretty nice. And then also my training calendar over here, and that's just to help remind me of what I'm supposed to be doing on a daily basis, and also kind of keep me in the mindset like I see it every day, so I have to do the workouts and kind of stay on track. So it helps me with that a little bit. It's just kind of like a visual thing. So now I'll explain the trainer a little bit more. And here is the trainer, which you probably can't see very well, but it's essentially a gear that is plugged into the wall and hooks up via Bluetooth to my laptop where I ride on Zwift. And you can see my wheel in the background there is not attached because my chain is actually attached to the trainer itself, which creates resistance for me to ride with. So it's kind of like a fake wheel that's hooked up to Zwift in the virtual reality world. And this is the saddle view of my Zwift setup. As you can see, I just have the laptop kind of sitting on my handlebars right now with a towel underneath it that is there to my bike from sweat and protect the laptop from sweat and just like wipe myself off also. There's a fan in front also because it gets quite hot riding on the bicycle, so I have that there to keep myself cool while I'm riding. And this is my training calendar. It's a glass dry erase board that has my training plan broken down 4 weeks at a time because that's usually how the blocks work. As you can see, on Thursdays for cycling, they're just pretty open. They kind of just say interval with some time on there. And as far as the Sunday rides go, they just have times on there that are slightly shorter than what Blueprint actually says, and it says easy at the end with an exclamation point. That is because I have a hard time going easy whenever I ride the bicycle. I usually end up just enjoying myself way too much and going really fast. So for the interval Zwift workouts that I'm doing, I usually just do about a 10-minute warm up and then I do some interval training. So it's basically a really high intensity followed by a lower intensity, and you just do several reps of that, usually about 10 to 15 or maybe 20, but I'm taking it pretty light. So it's really just like 10 or 15 and then a nice cool down afterwards. And those are usually pretty short, about 30 to 45 minutes at the most, but I'm trying to keep them around 30 minutes just because I don't want to overexert myself on those days, and I do tend to do that on the bicycle, as I said a minute ago. And then on long rides, I typically just go outside and ride my bike either north or south on the bike path near the beach. I try to take it as easy as possible, but I usually have way too much fun because I like to go fast. So I'll overexert myself a little bit. So I'm really trying to dial that back in, and I might even cut those time periods down so that I'm not out there as long, so that if I do go a little bit too hard, at least I won't be going too long also. You might have noticed really the biggest struggle that I have with cycling is that I go too hard while I'm doing it. That's not a problem for me when I'm swimming or when I'm running, definitely. So that is a unique problem that I have that I just have to kind of dial back. I feel like I'm, relative to the other disciplines, much better at cycling than I am at swimming or at running. So I'm trying to get those to be a little bit more equal. I'm trying to grab the low-hanging fruit in swimming and running right now, since I do have a lot more room to improve in those disciplines. That's why I have cycling on the back burner, even though it does make up the bulk of the actual triathlon. Usually in this case it's a little bit different because there is a longer run and a longer swim, so the cycling portion of this isn't really that major like it is in most triathlons, where it makes up a bulk of the actual time and effort that you spend during the triathlon. And this is my trainer, which is semi-permanent over there, kinda. I can take it off the trainer and bring it out and ride if I want to, but it is a triathlon bike, so it's really not that fun to ride, honestly. It doesn't corner very well, and it's really twitchy also. And there's a lot of pedestrians around here, so I don't really want to bring that bike out that much. I have another bike that I bought initially that's actually a gravel bike with a 1x drivetrain on it that I ride around for the most part because it's more comfortable on the road. It's easier to ride around on. It is a little bit heavier, so it's not as fast as this bicycle, but that's probably a better thing for me since I tend to go too hard anyway. And that's typically what I do my long rides outside on. Well, it's always what I do my long rides outside on because I have this bike hooked up in here. This is the bike that I will use for the triathlon though, because it is much faster, much more aerodynamic, it's much lighter. It is a triathlon bike. It has the aero bars built in with the gears on the top, so that allows you to get in a more aerodynamic position and hopefully be faster. In this race, I don't think it's going to matter that much because there's a lot of hills, so I'm probably not going to be able to stay in the aero bars for that long. And also I think the roads are not that straight, so I probably won't get as much of an aero benefit from the aero bars. I'll probably have to have my hands on the brake a lot of the time during this race just for, safety reasons. And that wraps it up for this episode of the Escape from Alcatraz training vlog. Next week I'll be talking about running, and that'll end the 3-part series that I've been doing on my actual training, so swimming, biking, and running. In the future I'll be talking about gear, I'll be talking about nutrition, I'll be talking about some more race-specific stuff, and a few other topics specific to triathlon training. See you next time. What's up, everyone? Chris coming at you today. No. What's up, everyone? No.